I'm Griff Robodanger, and in this video, I'm going to take a classic slasher movie, Friday the 13th Part 7, The New Blood, and let a computer rewrite the story. This is...
Scary Stories.
So how does it work? I enter incomplete scenes from a movie's plot into an AI text generation tool, and let the AI finish those scenes. Whatever wild detour the AI decides to take with the story, I have to do my best to get the story back on track. I'm also using AI image generators to illustrate some of the AI-generated portions of the story, to the best of their ability. Let's begin! One night, a 10-year-old girl named Tina hears her alcoholic father abusing her mother. To escape the stressful situation, Tina runs away from the house to nearby Crystal Lake. She gets in a boat and goes out onto the lake. When Tina's father follows her to the lake in an attempt to stop her, Tina tells her father that she hates him and she wishes he was dead. This moment causes Tina's dormant telekinetic abilities to emerge, powers she can't yet control. Tina accidentally kills her father with her telekinetic powers by... smashing his skull against the shore, and escapes the lake, scared and unaware of her new abilities. 7 years later, a now 17-year-old Tina is still struggling with guilt over her father's death. Her mother Amanda takes Tina back to their Crystal Lake home as part of Tina's treatment from their psychiatrist, Dr. Cruz. Dr. Cruz convinces Tina to undergo a series of experiments at her home to test her telekinetic powers. In the first test, Dr. Cruz asks Tina to demonstrate her telekinetic abilities by... opening the door to a motorboat without touching it. This causes the boat to move and a lacrosse stick on the dock to move. Tina is shocked at her power's volatility and tears off the rest of the testing machines until they are powerless. Okay, so clearly these tests really stressed her out, so later that night, Tina goes out to Crystal Lake, where her father's corpse disappeared. Tina wants to use her powers to bring her father back to life. However, Tina does not realize that the body of infamous serial killer Jason Voorhees is also submerged deep underwater in the lake. When Tina attempts to bring her father back from the dead using her telekinetic abilities, she accidentally brings Jason Voorhees back instead by... dragging his body into the lake. What? When her mother asks Tina why she's dragging a dead body in the lake, Tina tells her that the dead body is her father. But this does not prove to be true, as it is actually Jason. Jason eventually kidnaps Tina and forces her to join his army of Reapers, savage girls that carry out vicious satanic rituals such as mutilating their bodies and draining their blood. They target males who have the misfortune of crossing their path, and their victims are hung... You know, I don't know where to go with this one, so I'm just gonna double down. Up on trees and menaced with shotguns. The army then cuts off their victims' hearts and they turn into Voorhees. Tina's fellow recruits, all of which are young mean girls like Dawn, Heather, Lisa, Leslie, Carol, and Carol's abusive boyfriend Donnie. You know, young mean girls like abusive boyfriend Donnie. Dress her up as a boy and make her fight. Okay, so I guess Jason has set up this Reaper camp at the old Camp Crystal Lake location. And at night, when all of the other Reapers are asleep, Tina escapes from the Reaper camp. She returns home and tries to tell her mother and Dr. Cruz about Jason Voorhees and the Reapers. But Dr. Cruz does not believe her. Meanwhile, several teenagers are vacationing in the house next door, setting up a surprise party for their friend Michael. One of the teenagers, Nick, goes over to Tina's house and invites her to the party. Nick and Tina go to the party next door, where Tina meets the other teenagers. At the party, Tina has a horrifying telepathic vision of... Jason entering the party and slaughtering everyone present, including Nick and Tina himself. Jason slashes numerous bodies with a machete. Tina slumps in a corner from mental trauma, and Nick comforts her. In the morning, Tina has a chill in her limbs, and her father comes to investigate. I mean, he's kinda still dead though, right? Tina panics, obviously, but manages to freak out her father and swallow her scalpel. Tina and Jason arrive at the new camp in Crystal Lake. Jason picks her up and introduces himself. I feel like they kind of already met considering the whole Reaper thing. When Tina repeats her dreams over again, Jason's power gradually reaches the electric outlet on top of her electric wheelchair, causing it to electrocute her. As Tina slowly goes into cardiac arrest, a Reaper named Vicky and Jason end up blaming each other for her overdose. Tina slowly burns to death as Jason hypnotizes and turns her. Okay. Nick returns to attend Tina's funeral and states that the exterminator sprayed pizza sauce into the sockets of Tina's wheelchair because he was white. God damn it. Oh no. No. Thus giving Jason the power to electrocute her wheelchair. Okay, listen. This took a turn. The main reason I picked this movie in first place is because I wanted to see what weird telekinetic stuff the AI would have Tina use against Jason. So we're gonna call this the alternate ending, and I'm gonna invoke my magical rewind power to reset the story back to the last non-AI point. At the party, Tina has a horrifying telepathic vision of Jason trying to bring his father to life and threatening Tina and Nick. However, it isn't until Michael, Tina, and the others stumble upon the Native American sacrifices of the Voorhees household that Tina's nightmares about Jason are confirmed and redden her pale skin. I worry that last sentence may be a little problematic, but at least Tina's still alive, so let's move on. Meanwhile, in the woods, a couple named Dan and Judy are camping in a tent. Jason and the Reapers show up at the campsite. Jason pulls Judy out of the tent in her sleeping bag and kills her by pulling out her eyes and tearing out her mouth. When Dan and Judy's baby boy Matthew, who was sleeping nearby, realizes what is going on, Jason heads towards the tent and slits Dan's throat. Okay, so the next day, Tina goes to visit Nick at the house next door, but one of the teenagers, Melissa, cruelly teases Tina about being a formal mental patient. Tina, angry and embarrassed, accidentally unleashes her telekinetic powers on Melissa, whose will begins to weaken until she succumbs to death by tearing up and throwing up the insides of her stomach. Oh, so Tina just is a straight up murderer now. Okay. Tina runs out of the party in a panic, and Nick follows her. The other teenagers are shocked by what they just witnessed. Meanwhile, Jason has set up more and more doors and hatches in the ground, all trying to trap the young girls by offering them a good thing if they allow him into their bodies. At the Voorhees mansion, Tina has broken into the mansion and her father's swimming pool. Her father had a swimming pool in Jason's mansion? Also, Jason has a mansion? And has to dodge Jason's lasers from his Reaper tools. Tina returns to her room, rips her hair out, her face dyed with black ink, and all of her fingernails clawed out. Jason finally arrives and tries to lure Tina back to his cottage to seal her inside. But he uses his pool Reaper pen to hook her as a circle of Reaper fire spreads around her body. She escapes from Jason's trap and continues running through the Reaper fire until all the pink in her body becomes a dull color. Okay, I don't understand a damn thing I just said. She runs into her home and quickly remembers that she has telekinetic powers and that she can use her telekinetic powers to fight Jason. I mean, that's the whole reason I'm doing this. Tina has a vision where she learns that Jason Voorhees has murdered her mother by attaching his broken stick to his mouth and strapping on his boxers. Okay, I'm just not even gonna ask how any of that led to her mom being killed. So Tina, angry about her mother's murder, tracks down Jason to get revenge. Tina can now control her telekinetic powers, and using these telekinetic powers, Tina attacks Jason by pressing the ball of a boogie board onto his door frame and trying to force it open. The ball, what is the ball of a, do boogie boards even have balls? Wait, okay, I should rephrase, you know what? Forget it. Her attacks seem to have little effect, and she can hear Jason laugh with glee as he tries to rip her into the frame. Tina takes a butterfly net and tries to swat Jason, but he pulls her into the house and slams her head into the TV screen, knocking her out. Tina wakes up in Jason's bed, and she begins to scream. She tries to run away, but Jason stops her by holding her under the water. He grabs her out of the water and tosses her to the ground, where he cuts her throat and licks her blood. Tina's body fades, but Nick shows up to distract Jason. Tina heals her own wounds using her telekinetic power, because why the hell not? Jason is about to kill Nick, but Tina uses her telekinetic powers to stop Jason by recharging his umbilical cord with her own blood. So weird. Tina's last act is to pin Jason under the water, where his face is completely ripped off. But she doesn't do this until he's been holding her under for a minute. Finally, she swims away from Jason and dives to safety, where she is found by Nick, who takes her back home. Now that feels like an ending. And, as usual, here are a few AI-created scenes that I couldn't use in the story, but I thought they were funny. Jason pulls Judy out of the tent in her sleeping bag and stabs Dan, killing him. Seeing this, Dan does not hesitate in killing Jason in self-defense. Meanwhile, Tina is with her father, Dr. Cruz, the other scientists, and the U.S. Army High-Frequency Active Auroral Research Program Electronic Protection Launch Box, EHAPLEB, transporter, upon searching their location for evidence. Things go well until Tina has a horrifying telepathic vision of a bloody machete plunging into the deepest part of the lake, followed by the voice of Jason's older brother Rodney yelling for "Body from Shirley." Using a sailboat, Tina is rescued by an unseen figure, a disembodied head with a pair of pliers attached to his face named Kevin. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, hit that like button and let me know what movies you'd like to see done in the future. And if you're new here, check out this other stuff and consider subscribing. And until next time, later, Danger Seekers.